All right, there's Facebook. Oh, and YouTube. All righty. We'll give folks a chance to kind of come on board here. Um, hey, we're already up to 2. So hello and hello. 4, we doubled our audience. We are the fastest growing Facebook Live segment in the world. Uh, we've now tripled it. Apologize for the voice off the top, and with the voice, as you can hear it, it won't be as long as what I normally do. Hello, Deb, and hello, Debbie. That's cute. So, gee, what's going on? Why would we be on here getting ready to do any kind of Facebook Live thingy? And by the way, I strongly advise don't getting whatever crud this is going around. I've had it since before Christmas. Thought I'd gotten rid of it, and then yesterday decided it wanted to come back again. So we make the best of it, especially with the weather we got coming up, because it's a dandy. All right, we've got over 400 there on Facebook, so we will go ahead and get started here. And again, a blanket apology on the voice, but we will we'll get to all that, Stella. So we'll go ahead and do a run through here, and hopefully you get the information that you want. And thank you, Sarah. We're not going to get into much. In fact, we're really not going to get into any specifics about the weekend because it's too doggone early. But we will talk about what's coming up for tonight as well. And thank you, Chris. So here we go. There is an advisory up for late tonight into the morning hours tomorrow. It's been expanded since we last talked to you at 6. It now goes all the way down basically to the parkway there in southern Kentucky. That is all from the National Weather Service office in Louisville. Wilmington doesn't have one out for northern Kentucky. Jackson doesn't have one for eastern Kentucky. And so this one is all Louisville at this point, and that's fine. The cough. Oh, Gladys, the cough's a big part of it. So I may be doing that here at some point. Anyway, so you see the advisory that's in place, and that'll be in effect for tomorrow morning. What the advisory is there for is travel impacts. The morning commute tomorrow for some may be a little icy and may bleed into the hours after the morning commute at least a little bit because it's so doggone cold for one. And so let's go ahead and advance through. I hope I started up the show. You got the graphic there. There we go. The show has begun. There we are. Pop that back up and advance. There we are. So what's coming in for tonight? The Arctic high is retreating. And if you're still getting the shocks around your house, you understand about the Arctic air. It's very, very dry. Our dew points have been down below 0 and in the low single digits. So again, remarkably dry air. So that storm is coming to our north, but it's picking up some Gulf moisture. And with it, you see that by tomorrow morning's commute, there could be a mix of stuff going on. It could be a little bit of snow, although the temperatures aloft are going to kind of be marginal for that. It may end up being more, we could see a little sleet. We could get some freezing rain, freezing drizzle out there. Those all make travel problems. And the problem we have, anything liquid that falls, well, truthfully, anything that falls is going to stick because the road and the ground are both really, really cold. And so won't have any problem sticking. And so that's where your travel headaches can come into play. We will, Sean. So just be patient. That eventually, as we get into the morning, more warm air comes in. You see those southerly winds. And that is what will eventually change everything over to rain by the time we get you into the afternoon. And that'll carry us then all the way through into tomorrow evening. So again, that is the thing coming in for tonight, which can cause you some problems. And we've talked about it many times. Sometimes it's the littlest things that can cause the biggest problems. So be aware of that for tomorrow. Plan on giving yourself some extra time. Traffic may be nasty in the morning. So that potential is certainly out there. So let's talk about the weekend. And I don't think it starts on Friday at this point, Judy. I think it starts Saturday. Although I saw some data tonight that's like, okay, maybe, it's our in-house model. We'll get to all that again coming up. That it could be starting as early as Friday night, but I think it's more Saturday, and I think probably Saturday afternoon. But But again, we'll get to all that coming up. So we're still 4 days out. I know that you all have been seeing map after map after map after map on your social media feeds. They're on mine too, and I just giggle at them. People are putting out these maps with just throwing a model out there. Hey, this looks scary. This looks scary. Oh my goodness. And click, 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 click. That's the game right now. Except for us, this is not a game. We take this very seriously, which is why we aren't putting numbers out right now, because models may put a number out, and they may turn out to be right. Who knows? But there's nothing behind it, aside from the fact that it says, this is not a forecast. Well, no, then don't put it out there. So what do we know? Or what are we pretty sure of? Arctic high pressure. We're going to get to all this again coming up. And that there's going to be something pretty big going across the south. The modeling changes every 6 hours. Models vary to model, and again, I'll talk about all this. Just stay with your trusted source, and we hope it's us. But again, even if it's not, somebody at least has a reputation. That's kind of what I would advise you at this point. It's not time to change plans yet, but it may be time to start thinking about Plan B as we get you into the weekend. So what we're going to do here, if you watch the 6 o'clock tonight, we did an experiment. I got rid of most of the maps that I normally would have tossed out your way, and I did it kind of as a chalkboard. So we're going to put it under the umbrella of Bill's Weather 101. So let's talk about this. Here's the setup. What do we know, or what do we think we know? We think that there's going to be a very big dose of Arctic high pressure, mostly because a lobe of the polar vortex is moving down to about Iowa. So that's ingredient number one. Ingredient number two, there's going to be low pressure sitting down here in South Texas, okay? Finally, there's this thing, the dashed line you see here. That's called an inverted trough. It's inverted because normally troughs go this way, but when it goes from southwest to northeast, it's an inverted trough. So those are your players. That's the setup for what's going on. How these things interact, which is what the modeling is trying to do, how these things interact will determine what we end up with. What we don't know, because this whole thing right now is literally just in a computer dream, but it's all sitting out here. We aren't in the range of the short-term models yet. We're not in the high-resolution models. So that's one of the reasons why we are utsy about putting numbers out this early, because a lot of things can change. So for people who've got businesses that don't involve moving snow, for people who have things to do over the course of the weekend, this is what would happen for the fewest real-world disruptions, the least amount of stuff going on. What would have to happen for that? This high, this big Arctic high, needs to come in and just bully its way in. This is a situation where we have seen it happen many times. In almost 27 years of doing this here, we've seen this countless times where we have a snow system, but the Arctic high overwhelms the pattern. If that comes to play, this low stays fairly weak and it stays way south. That puts the heaviest snow down here, okay? That has been a scenario that the American model's been putting out a lot. Our own in-house model was doing that up until the last run that came in late this afternoon, early this evening. This morning's run that we looked at as we were forming our afternoon forecast had everything suppressed. This would be an I-20 snow. And for us, we're on the northern edge, and yeah, we get some snow out of it, but it's not a big deal. That is a possibility. It's not likely. It's not the scenario that we're favoring, but it is a possibility that is still out there and still very valid at this early juncture. You're a snow lover, and I'm betting a lot of you are. Okay, so I'm trying to catch a couple of the comments here. Which front is larger, high cold or low moisture? Well, it's going to be a lot of moisture coming in into the cold, but if the high can suppress it south, and a lot of times the big Arctic highs bully it south. If that doesn't happen that way, if this high decides it wants to drift a little more to the southwest or just come straight across the lakes, both very valid and probably the most likely scenario, this low will still remain weak. That's also a key to all this. So the inverted trough becomes the player. So what happens with that? If that's the case, and this is what the European model has been screaming for a while, that your heavy snow band comes in something like that and you get ice to the south. Ooh, I took the whole map. Dang it. But you get ice to the south, which will be the case either way. How far north this comes, okay? You want the inverted trough. For Lexington or for Kentucky's biggest snows, oftentimes it's not the big revved up, cranked up systems that do it. It is the inverted trough, because what they do then, they transport moisture. They bring that moisture up into the cold air, and then you put down the snow. The overall, well, we'll get to the model trends in a second. Finally, the case that nobody wants to see. It is still a possibility. I think of the three scenarios, it's the least likely at this point, but it is still possible. Is the worst case scenario is that this low does begin to crank up. If this low begins to crank up, instead of cranking up out here off the Cape Hatteras, if it starts to crank up here in the Gulf, it's going to want to cut up west of the mountains. That's just how they work. What will also happen at that point is your high essentially splits in two. And when that happens, there's a weakness in between, which is actually what that trough is. But the weakness becomes stronger. What happens then is that revved up low comes up along the west side of the mountains. It brings warm air aloft with it. When that happens, it's still encountering Arctic air. And so what happens is you put warm air aloft, cold air at the surface. Boys and girls, that is the mixture nobody wants. That is freezing rain and sleet. And with the copious moisture that looks to be available, we don't want that scenario. Somebody in the deep south, or somebody in the south, somebody in the SEC is going to be getting a pretty doggone nasty ice storm. Other folks are going to end up with a nice snow. So that is the three main scenarios here. So let's take a look at the modeling. This is the European. This should be the 18Z run. I'm going to just go ahead and let it run all the way through here for you. You notice that it has the snow shield coming up. This actually might be the 12Z. In fact, I think it is the 12Z. Because here's where things get complicated and why putting out these model numbers is dangerous / foolhardy / irresponsible. The new European run, in fact, let me get this off here. So let me do this. I'm not going to tell you how much snow because I don't know right now. And I cannot make that point enough times, it seems. Yes, you're going to see numbers on the internet. They're not going to come from us because it's too doggone early. So let me do this. Here's the, let's see, this is the European, that is the 12Z. So watch what it does here. In fact, since it's not on here, I can zoom in. Okay, so watch what it does here. See, as it's coming in, this is a big snowmaker with the heaviest snow on this one actually cutting through middle Tennessee and maybe clipping southern Kentucky, but the ice is well to the south. That's the 12Z run. That was the morning run. Here's the afternoon run. Oh, different. And by the way, this is the first time since since Sunday night that the European has changed anything. But the trend is north. At least on this run, the trend is, I can't tell a story right now. And in fact, it's trying to bring liquid up into parts of the Cumberland Plateau there. That would be a snowmaker, a good one for central Kentucky, but it's also a dandy of an ice storm in the southeast. This is the first time, the first model run that the European has shown that. So at this point, you toss that out, at least for the moment, because it's inconsistent. So that's the European. In fact, what I could do, I'll show it in a different way. Some of this I'm making up on the fly as I go along here. So that, again, is one of the things that we're looking at here. So here's the snow and ice put out from the European. It's actually shifted everything 60, 100 miles north from where it was at 12Z. Atlanta may be looking at a big ice storm. It's bringing the ice up at least into southeast Kentucky. When I looked at the numbers actually here online, not what the modeling or what it shows here on the television graphic, it had the ice coming up into southeast Kentucky. Okay, so let me, for the moment, pull the ice off. This is what the European, and I'll come in. The trend is your friend. So we always like to keep that in mind. The European has been showing pretty big snow since the weekend. Excuse me. I can take you back. I can take you back to 0Z. And, well, I can't take you back to 0. No, because it's the new model's coming in. Take you back to 6Z. Really? Why are you doing this? 24, 25. Let's pop that. And snow accumulation. Weather, snow accumulation. That should be showing snow. I don't know why it's not. Maybe I should have done a rehearsal. Okay, so put the latest back up and see if it comes back. Okay, so there's the latest. There's 12Z. So again, notice the shift. That's the morning run. That's what, when I came into work today, that's what was waiting for me. And so again, you see how much of a northward shift there was. So again, that's something that is different. The 6Z data is not there. Okay, so I can't show you that. What else? Do I have anything left here? Let me put that back up then I'll just revert it. I know this is scintillating internet viewing. Okay, so we're back to that. And do that. So again, you see the extent of this system also, where it runs from the Texas Panhandle all the way through the Ozarks, through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, through the Mid-Atlantic to New England. This is covering a lot of real estate. With this system, it's big. There's going to be a lot going on. Again, but you see the difference just in the 6-hour data from the European. The trustworthy European is a totally different scenario. That's why you can't put numbers out, and really until you get the players on the field and to see what's going on. These players really aren't on the field yet, or at least not in a place where we can do anything with them. And so that's why it may be frustrating to hear me say, well, we can't put numbers out, but you're seeing them all over the place. Anybody, you all can go ahead and put the numbers out there on a computer map and get the clicks and whatever. We try and give you the best data you can to make the decisions that you need to make. For instance here, this is something I showed earlier just for kicks and giggles here. But I've had people calling because they're traveling this weekend. These are the major airports that are going to be impacted by this. I mean, you're covering a whole lot of the country. Dallas, Memphis, Nashville, Covington, Atlanta. I've got friends going through Atlanta. And it's on Saturday, and it's like Saturday afternoon in Atlanta could be really utsy. Now, if that northern trend continues, they're going to end up being fine. But again, that's just been thrown out there for the first time. Charlotte, Dulles, and eventually Kennedy up there in New York. So again, that's a lot of folks who are going to be impacted by all this. And I know you all want what's going to happen at your house, and you've got the internet telling you what you want to see. We call it weather porn, for lack of a better way to put it. It's titillating, it's exciting, it's stuff. But the reality is there are just too many variables in this infinite fluid that we call the atmosphere at this point to put anything hard and fast down. All we can do at this point is give you the heads up that, hey, there's something big coming. It looks like it'll be this weekend. Regardless, it's going to be brutally cold. And it's not time to run and get the bread and milk yet, but, know where the Kroger is, or the Publix, or wherever you happen to shop. All right. Plow driver. Well, I have a friend who has a plow service, and he wants the big snow. So there have been folks who I've been texting with who own businesses, and they're making money decisions. And right now, the best advice I can give them is have your plan B ready to go. It's not time to pull the trigger on it yet, but it's time to think about it. And if this comes to fruition, travel this weekend is not going to be good for a lot of folks and covering a lot of real estate. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, and could it end up being nothing? Sure. That's one of the reasons. That's what's on the table is basically nothing. That's the American model, or was the American model scenario. And I've got a cough coming on, so we're going to wrap this up pretty quick. The American model through this morning it had wavered. And truthfully, we usually toss out the American model. But the morning run was nothing. Our in-house model this morning was nothing. And this afternoon, both of them changed. Our in-house model is the nightmare scenario for some folks. And again, because it's inconsistent, you dismiss it for now. The new run of the European, which for 8 consecutive runs was dead on. That's weird to not see any change. But it's drifting north. So that's something you got to take into account. And that's why, again, we have to wait until maybe tomorrow night, not likely, more likely Thursday morning is when we'll start to put some numbers on this. You still have basically 36 to 48 hours to prep. But again, this could be, we're not poo-pooing this by any stretch. This has a lot of potential. If the cold air wins, you get a little snow and a lot of cold. If the European models scenario, which is reasonable, we end up with a good snow out of the deal. But now, again, you saw the ice potential. There is that possibility, and again, about as many times as probably more times than we've seen the cold air overwhelm, we've seen the warm air come up the west side of the mountains, and you end up with some places 35-degree rain, some places you get freezing rain, in other places you still get the snow, depending on how far away you are from that low center. Again, it's too early. This is just your heads up that, hey, something's going on. You know what? We're going to do this again tomorrow, and we'll probably do it again Thursday. And you can be darn tootin', we're probably going to do it again on Friday. But to give you an idea of how long we've been watching this, I was supposed to be off on Friday, birthday eve kind of thing. And last week, I was talking to Emily, and it's like, look, I'm going to pull my day back because there's a potential there. And it's been out there for a while. We're coming into focus, but it's still not clear. Not clear enough for us to be able to say anything. So come on back tomorrow. Watch Tom tomorrow morning. You'll have a fresh set of eyes on this. Watch Patrick and Emily tomorrow. Watch me tomorrow during the evening newscasts. And we'll give you the best data we've got at that point. Again, if you're expecting numbers tomorrow at 6 o'clock, probably not going to happen. Unless the European gets really consistent here. That's what we do at day 4. We're setting things up. We're getting things ready. And then you can pull the trigger on Thursday if you need to. So that's it. It's actually early, Nikki. Tomorrow morning, okay, we'll go back to tomorrow morning real quick. Just to highlight that again. Tomorrow morning, The potential is there that there could be some freezing rain. There might be a little snow on this. I don't expect much snow out of this deal. Freezing rain might be the bigger one because the ground is cold. So again, there's an advisory up for most of central Kentucky. And the system comes in the pre-dawn. You're seeing the moisture advector come on in. And it could begin as a mix. There could be some sleet. There could be some freezing rain. There could be some snow. At 8 a.m., I wouldn't expect any rain, just because the air temperatures are going to be too cold. But it could be freezing rain. And then as we roll through the morning, there are going to be some slick spots around tomorrow. There's not going to be much stuff overall. But again, a thin coating of ice, and that's not much, can cause all kinds of problems. So my best advice for tomorrow morning, plan to give yourself some extra time. And as you're driving, take your time. You don't be in a rush to get to work or wherever you need to go tomorrow morning, because there are likely going to be some icy patches around. And then we will set the stage for what comes in over the course of the weekend. All righty. I have no idea on school, Cheyenne. I gave up that job a long time ago. I'm very old school when it comes to school closings, that it takes a lot. But that's not the thinking anymore. So I'm the wrong person to ask. Yeah, it's the thing I'd be worried about with a big snow, if that comes to fruition, is that it's not going anywhere once it's here. And the other thing we haven't talked about is that it's most likely, if it does occur, it's going to be a powdery snow, because it's going to be falling essentially into Arctic air. And so you end up with a very dry, powdery snow, but that can also pile up quite a bit. But it's not going anywhere because next week is really cold. And if we do get a snow cover, we're going below zero a couple of times. So that's the setup. Okay, there you go, Billie Jean. And again, my voice has had enough for now. Thanks for clicking over here. This was kind of just impromptu. We'll do it again tomorrow, voice willing. And hope you get the weather you want. Be careful what you wish for, though. And we'll have more for you coming up tonight at 11 on LAX 18. Thanks for hanging on the stream here. And again, we'll